let's talk about those rooms, because you talked about a lot of these things that help you in those rooms. That if you were talking to a black, I don't say a black nationalist, but if you were talking to someone who was just, just hardcore, like, fight the power, there's like, man, F learning how to use the right wine glass and, trying to fit in and, do all these different things. But that's something you said is a valuable skill set for you to learn in the rooms that you're in. It's kind of expected to a certain degree. So I just want you to talk about all of that, right? In terms of like, what are these rooms like that you're currently in as the senior vice president of this really big company? And then also, do you feel like you are, I don't want to call it selling out because that's not it, but like not the authentic, true you when you're in these rooms, and what are you doing about it, whichever way that you fall in that conversation?
Well, first of all, the rooms are filled with what? Human beings. That's the first thing. Regardless of where they come from, they're human. There's not a bunch of robots in the room. So when you're in the room, it's already established that you're in the room for a reason. There's no real purpose of sitting there trying to puff your chest up against one another. It's just really just a very just focused business environment. So that's the importance of getting that training in school. You're doing case studies and you're doing mock trials and mock business meetings and networking events and stuff like that. That's just basic streamline, like decorum in business. It has nothing to do with race. That's just the way that's the way business is. So when you're in these rooms, to be honest with you, gender, race, and other things usually are secondary, because by the time we're getting in those rooms, those boardrooms with CEOs and principals and attorneys and all kind of people all in the room, we're already there for a business purpose. So, if you have the training and experience, working your interns and then after college and so on and so forth, it's really just a very normal and consistent environment. So, but when I am in rooms with some of the big wigs from time to time, what I find even with them is that there are a lot of times they're a lot more humble than you would think. And I think that's a lot of reason why they are successful. A lot of these people, they're very intelligent. They listen first and kind of speak later. They surround themselves with people smarter than them, which I found is pretty wise. But there is, like I said, this is basic, just business etiquette, business decorum across the board. It does not matter what you look like or if you're female or male. It just doesn't matter. It's just when you're trained, when you're educated, when you have some experience, all of that is at play when you're in a business meeting or in these rooms, no matter how elite the person is in there. There's just this basic foundational business etiquette and decorum at play. And once again, Morehouse College definitely instilled that into me.
Got you. But a lot of people are intimidated in terms of going into those rooms, right? Especially if you don't have a second generation pedigree, as you do, right? Maybe some of your first generation college student classmates and others, they're like, man, like I'm, scared out of my mind, going and talking to the CEO of X, Y, and Z company or the CFO of this other company. Yes. So for those who want to really succeed in those rooms, I understand, the point of understanding that, these are just people who want to get business done. Yes, but what other tips would you provide for someone who has to go into these rooms?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that. The first thing I would suggest is do your research. Just go to Google, read the background on that person you're about to meet with or people you're about to meet with. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people are caught up emotionally and kind of in their fear and nervousness that they forget to take the first step, which is doing your due diligence. You got to do your due diligence. And all that is doing your research. And the great thing is Google and other browsers, all the information is out there. So if you just simply read up or go to the company's website and go to their bios, if you simply just read those things, you're going to feel an instant level of comfort, because there'll be a time in the conversation that you'll maybe talking about a subject that may trigger a thought from your a page from the research that you did, if you will, or a sentence or something from what school they went to, or different types of industries they're involved in. And then it can kind of start kind of warming up the conversation with that person, which they love, like the CEOs and all those people. They already made their money. They're good, generally speaking. So they just want, they like having those really kind of normal human friendly discussions, but they also are impressed when you do your research. But when you go into the room, take a deep breath, 2 or 3 deep breaths before you walk in, to kind of calm your nerves a little bit. And then, like I said, a lot of times listen to what they have to say, and talk to their assistants too, like their secretaries, their assistants, that you might be able to kind of speak to. You can call them before, or even visit them, or take them to lunch. They appreciate that. A lot of times the people that have all the knowledge, have all the keys, are often forgotten, and they're human too, and they're very important critically. So that's another tip, talk to them, call them, like, hey, I just want to prepare for this conversation. Would you, can we meet and speak, or can you give me a little bit of insight? Like, do your research, do your due diligence, Google, and then you'll instantly feel that kind of comforting feeling come over you.